Government, where are you? We need ya. Ladies, thank you for coming out tonight. You make me wanna spin out, yo, like Nzala kapsiringi sibuli lunaku Amabipa, esiri munaku Enyungi nekidungo zinanga mulalu Anyatukwata kutumongero bunaku Ekipa mwekuba kulobesa Unyaye mwekole subi kufuruma Wanali wala kuseka sobi ngapene kukulabesa Wikidi The crack out of it is stupid Buli chowetaga call my number The center wato izi batezi nyamba Bulungi boli kogwa sana munyumba
There's some really crazy music playing.
It was playing before. That is. Just the Indian name.
Exactly.
Cecil against that.
Hello? Hello, hello, hello? Hello? Okay. As long as you can hear me. Thank you, Ibra. Welcome to Fashion Revolution Week. I'm Beatrice Angut-Ola, and I'm the host for today. I'm going to moderate the panel, Rethink Fashion and Create a Circular Economy. And also from my side, just to give you a little bit more insight. Like this? Yeah? Okay. Already, we're in Fashion Revolution Week, and at this time, a global community comes together that wants to create a better fashion industry. And Fashion Revolution Week kicked off in the UK in 2013 because a manufacturer, Rana Plaza, broke down and killed over 1,000 people. Yeah, so this happened on the 24th of April 2013. And in this manufacture, huge global fashion brands were producing. So it, of course, raised the question, how come a manufacturer that luxury garments is in such a bad condition? So therefore, Fashion Revolution was created. And this year, we mark the 8th year since the tragedy, and Fashion Revolution will focus on the interconnectedness of human rights and the rights of nature. So, and today, or actually this year's theme is rights, relations, and revolution. So that's why we said let's talk about circular economy. So the fashion scene in Uganda is young and vibrant, although there are shady sides of the fashion economy. In the last years, the scene has been growing, and more conscious fashion brands are trying to cultivate their business. The fashion industry is facing different challenges. On the one hand, the second-hand business. On the other hand, the cheap and mass production from Asia. So the local fashion market is not able to step out of the shadows and build an independent economy. It is time to recognize and promote the potential of fashion creators. Yeah? So we're going to tap into this. Why is the fashion economy not a circular economy? But first of all, I would like to introduce the panelists. So as you can see, we have two panelists joining on the screen. So I would like to introduce Victor Namutwe from Joro Clothing. Victor is an awarded fashion designer from Uganda. He has a degree in fashion design and technology. He holds a master in fashion entrepreneurship, in sustainability and innovation. And he founded his fashion line in 2011. And his mission is to train marginalized talents. Next to Victor, I would like to introduce Cherie Berkner. She is founder of Sustainable Fashion Matters. Cherie has spent the majority of her life immersed in fashion from one angle to another. You wouldn't think she's originally born in a counter-culture commune somewhere in southern Oregon. And as a teen, she began in the model industry, then styling during her fashion design studies, and began photographing professionally shortly after. So during her years as a creative director of an e-commerce focused fashion retailer and brand, she came to realize her deep desire to make actions meet values, and hence quit her job and founded Sustainable Fashion Matters in 2017. And she currently launched her first non-profit Creative Matters Fund. So I would still also like to introduce Ibra. He gave a brief insight. So Ibrahim Kasoma is one of the founders of IG Fashion. His nickname, also known as Aka Ibrahim, so the label is a sustainable fashion label, a sustainable streetwear label inspired by African heritage, culture, and nature, always paired with a forward-thinking and a unique design aesthetic. As a child, he was obsessed with taking things or tearing things apart. In his work as a fashion designer, he uses second-hand clothing and combines them with local materials to create unique pieces. Besides that, he's also an experienced mobilizer carrying out community fashion outreach programs across Uganda and organizing different events, as we see here, Fashion Revolution Week. And at last, I would like to introduce Faith Aweko, founder or one of the founders from Reform Africa. Faith is a wastepreneur. Her social enterprise, Reform Africa, is based on turning waste into wealth. Faith founded Reform Africa in September 2018, a Uganda-based company that recycles plastic that make unique and fashionable bags. Reform Africa is a creative response to the waste management problem in and around Kampala. So please raise your hands, applaud for our panelists. So, since we're talking about a circular economy, I would like to raise my first question to Victor. Victor, could you please break it down for us? What is a circular economy in fashion? I think we can't hear Victor at the moment.
Victor, my name.
Hearing you?
Circular economy, I would tone it down to...
Victor, maybe you can start
Okay.
again because we didn't hear you from the beginning. Somehow we lost your first sentence.
Circular economy, I'll still take it back to single-use lifestyles that we currently running out from to a sort of, not a revolution of sorts, but we evolving to make better sustainable practices that tap into the industry, the fashion industry, and these include reusing, repairing, recycling, and eco-designs, and then sustainable supply, and then responsible consumption. So this taps into the supply chain, whereby it starts from the raw materials that we use to come up with the fabrics, which fabrics we use to come up with the garments. So the people involved in there, be it the marketing, be it the transportation, be it the coordination, be it the garment manufacturers or the makers, to the end use, who is the consumer, and what happens thereafter. The garment reaches its end of life. So that's the whole supply, the whole circle of how the evolution of the industry runs. So that's what I would call a circular economy that we're trying to push forward for. Ever since the industry that the fashion industry contributes, probably is one of the biggest contributors to the pollution of the environment, and we don't want that. So that's why we're engaging in all these sort of activities to make sure the industry survives and the planet, the people, and we all survive in a way as we turn it into a money-generating venture of sorts.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so circular economy, this is our topic, what we're tackling. So we have also Cherie here, who's tuning in from Germany, Berlin. And since we heard that, we do not want anymore to focus on a one-sided economy, so it's circular. So everyone who is part of the supply chain should benefit. But then also it matters how the relations are. So therefore, Cherie, I would also like to know from your perspective, since you founded Sustainable Fashion Matters, because you saw there's a need, can you, what does it take to grow a community and how you have been working so far? If you can give us an insight.
Hi, thank you for the question. I just requested shortly for it to be typed because I had a bit of difficulties understanding it.
Should I reply?
I can hear you very well. Close to the camera.
Okay. You heard the question? Should I ask again the question? All right. So Cherie, since you're the founder of Sustainable Fashion Matters, so can you give us an insight? I mean, there was a need, you saw there's a lack, that therefore you created Sustainable Fashion Matters. Can you give us an insight of Sustainable Fashion Matters, what you do, how your community work looks like, and what it needs to grow?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So yes, if I can give an insight on Sustainable Fashion Matters and what we're doing and how it came to be. So Sustainable Fashion Matters is an online platform really showcasing the people and the brands behind the movement of sustainability in fashion. And it started after I had quit my job in fast fashion. I really wanted to connect with the part of the fashion industry that I wanted to be working with, where it was, where it felt like it was a match for my values. And so at the time I was becoming a freelance photographer, and I went to the Fashion Week here in Berlin. We had one which was focused just on sustainable brands and ethical brands. And I started by taking portraits of people who were creating fair fashion and looking into sustainability and doing interviews with them and showcasing them online on the platform. So this helped kind of visualize this community that was already in the already moving things forward, which has also been used as a tool within the community to connect with one another. So you can see, okay, this person is doing that and that, enabling connections more. And then we also started doing some events when I realized, wow, there's so many people doing these things, they need to know each other. There's so much room for collaboration here. And so I think it's, I think generally in the space of sustainability and fashion, there's so much possibility to come together and collaborate, because essentially we're working for a cause that's greater than just our own personal satisfaction in that sense. So yeah, that's how it started, and now we've grown like a large Instagram following. with over 15,000 followers, and on the website we have over 100,000 visitors a year. And I could I could encourage anyone to like do something similar. I'm not sure how set up the sustainable fashion scene is in Kampala, but it sounds like you're having a great event today to bring people together. And it's just great to really make use of these events also, and maybe take the learnings of it and put it online if it's on Instagram, or if you make a website. I can just encourage to do this to build the community.
All right. Thank you. So, Faith, you're the founder of Reform Africa. Please, can you give us an insight about Reform Africa, how you started, and what impact financially and socially you created with Reform Africa?
Thank you so much. My name is Faith Aweko, the founder of Reform Africa, a social business that utilizes plastic waste resource, the plastic polythene bags, to come up with sustainable, durable, and profitable bags and accessories. Reform Africa was founded in 2018 as a research project by 3 young ladies, me inclusive. So we're basically researching about plastic pollution here in Uganda, because the 3 of us were affected in one way or the other by the plastic pollution in Uganda. So one of my co-founder is called Rachel Mema, a refugee from DRC. So with also the situation in DRC, plastic is littered everywhere, and when she moved to Uganda in Nachivale refugee camp, it was still the same case. The other founder is called Nalima Shamim from Bwaise. Bwaise is one of the highly flooded areas here in Kampala. And me myself, I grew up from Naguru Go Down, one of also the slum areas here in Kampala. And growing up, I was really greatly affected by the plastic pollution, because every time it could rain is when my family and the whole neighborhood would think of disposing of plastics. Not necessarily plastic, we think of disposing of our waste. And this is waste that is mixed organic and inorganic. So every time it rains is when people, even up to now, think maybe that is the time to dispose the plastic in the waste in the trenches, because the waste management systems don't reach directly to some areas, mostly in the slums. And also, since organic waste and inorganic waste is mixed together, they are not also able to carry the waste and take to the nearest collection centers like the market areas. So when it rains, we dispose of the plastics in the trenches, and this clogged the trenches and caused flooding. And many times it was a little bit hard, mostly like in the night, like today. When it rained in the night, most families have to spend the whole night draining water out of their houses. Or myself, in the mornings, I had to miss school because walking in the floods, having a wet uniform or having your books wet wasn't something easy. So as I grew up, I got to realize it's actually not because of the heavy rains or the flooding. It's because of the plastics, mostly the polythene bags, that were clogging the trenches and causing the recurring flooding. So Reform Africa was founded then, like in 2018. Necessarily just doing research to really see why there is a high rate of plastic pollution and the solutions that are currently available. Because in Uganda, we produce 500 tons of plastics, of plastic waste every day, and 51% of this waste is not collected. So this is the waste that clogs the trenches, and this is the waste you find on the streets. This is the waste you find in open areas, and in some parts of Kampala, plastic is banned, and this is causing air pollution and toxic fumes. In the rural areas of Uganda, plastic is left to decompose in its own. Yet plastic takes more than 1,000 years to decompose. And in some areas, people dig holes, and then they bury the waste, and then they cover up, and again they dig another hole. And also here in Uganda, we have one of the biggest landfill, that is Chitezi. It's on 53 acres of land. So, and it's really fully, how should I say it? It's already full, but still again, they keep on pouring soil on top, and then so after pouring soil on top, they compost, and then again they pour more trash. So 53 acres of land, and with also the growing population of Uganda, with also many industries that are coming up that use plastic waste as a resource. You find a water bottle is these days 300 shillings. Where I stay in Mpigi, we have water for 300 Ugandan shillings. So that is really quite a big number of waste, yet the recycling facility here in Uganda is less than 1%. And of which that less than 1%, it's just collecting plastic bottles, shredding, making flakes, and then exporting to either India or China. So we still have a long way to go with recycling. So Reform Africa came up to recycle plastic polythene. This one's here. These plastic polythene bags. So we purchase plastic from women who are collecting plastic around, mostly from the landfill. Then we have it brought over. We are located in Mpigi. So it's brought over to Mpigi, then it's washed. With also, with the way we dispose of waste in Uganda here, both organic and inorganic waste is mixed together. So it also becomes expensive on our side to wash because we use a lot of water to wash, and we also have to disinfect. So that is water and detergent already even before processing. Yes, so once it is processed, we press about 15 plastic bags. Then we have a sustainable material that is hard, it's like leather. We design different patterns on the bags, depends on the colors of the plastic. So this is a yellow plastic, this is red, then black. But yeah, so depends on the plastics, we design different patterns and different designs. Then we have this material. After this, we cut it and make products like toiletry bags. We have cross bags. We also make school bags, shopping bags, and then we have the backpack. So this is what we do at Reform Africa, trying to reuse the plastics that we use in our communities. Yes.
Great. And can you also still add to the impact, like financially and socially? Because this is really an amazing business you have set up, and it would be good for us just to get an insight.
Yes, so Reform Africa was founded in 2018, just as a research project, but we began producing these bags in 2019 in March. So we started with recycling 50 kilograms of plastic per month, but currently we are recycling over 300 kilograms of plastic per month. And we've grown from employing 5 employees to 20. We have 9 full-time workers and then 11 part-time workers. So for the full-time, these are people who make the bags, and also the people on the team. And then the part-time are people who sort and wash the plastic bags. So we've also financially, we've in 2020, we produced 1,800 bags. That is with the school bags, like all the bags, and we've also made a revenue of 36 million. And we've also won a couple of awards, and we've been featured on both international and national televisions here. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I mean, when we hear this, it sounds like, yeah, there are already solutions, but still we're facing situations. So, Ibra, I mean, what needs to be implemented to create a circular economy here in Uganda?
Hi everybody. I'll first maybe tell you a story. So a few years ago I went to Rwanda and I went to their market. So here we have the Owino, right? So I went to the Owino of Rwanda and they had a lot of second-hand clothes. And then 1 year later I went back to Rwanda and the government had passed a law that they had banned all second-hand clothes. So when I went back, the second-hand market had turned into a market where you go to buy new Chinese products. So this is coming from one extreme to even more extreme, because second-hand clothes are clothes that we buy here in Uganda to give them a second life. So a shirt has been worn in the US and it's been brought to Uganda. You go to a winner, you buy it, and you give it a second life. So you save it from being dumped on the dustbin. And what in Rwanda, what they did is that they banned second life and they opted to sell new Chinese products. So the danger with this is that Chinese products have a few disadvantages. First of all, you cannot recycle it because it's made really cheaply. It's made in everybody knows Chinese products don't last, right? Then the other thing is that it was a bunch of polyester, lycra, things that don't decay. So if you put it in the soil, it's not going to rot. Then the third thing is that it's something new, so new resources are being used rather than second-hand fabric, which someone is finished wearing it, and then you can wear it again. So the question that you asked, how can we move forward, with the impact? So I feel like in IGC we've kind of come to the middle ground where we are not using new fabrics, but again we are not using, how can I call it? We are trying to recycle old fabrics. So what we do, we go to a window and buy these second-hand fabrics, and maybe if we want a red color and they don't have it in a window, we'll dye it at the studio using natural dyes. So this is like a process to the fabric a new life, but also to keep the circular economy, because the circular economy is all about circular economy, because the circular economy is all about reusing, repurposing, something that can be biodegradable. So this is something that I think is a good example.
Thank you. Yes, it is. But I would like Victor to add to it. Victor, what challenges can you name the fashion economy is facing here in Uganda?
I did get the question properly. Yes. It was okay, but I presume I had something like challenges. Is it the challenges of the fashion industry in Uganda?
Yes. Exactly.
First, I would like to acknowledge the fashion industry in Uganda is booming. It's growing at a faster rate than anyone would have expected. So, yes, we're getting there. But of course, it's not a smooth sail. It's not an easy road. There are a lot of challenges that have come along with it. But there's always a way on how to get around that. And probably in the near future, we shall be up there as well, like the other fashion capitals. So some of the challenges we have, like one of the panelists mentioned, we have an issue of second-hand clothes that have always boomed the market, whereby people now have had taken a tendency of appreciating more of the second-hand clothes, saying they are more durable or they are more long-lasting as opposed to homemade garments or homemade products. So that's one of the biggest challenges I see we facing. And then they're saying that second-hand clothes are affordable and garments made at home are a bit expensive. We can't afford that, and so I'll call that all that excuses. So we lack, in a way, support of our own products or our own brand. The other challenges I would see is the fashion industry is struggling because we lack sponsorships. The industry as a whole cannot stand without backup because most of what we have is young entrepreneurs or young mushrooming industries within the industry itself. Because you'll find someone starting up a brand like myself, starting small, but along the way, because you can't sustain what comes with having the brand, you need to look into the side costs, which could be like rent, which could be like if you have employees, looking into paying that, and then sourcing for raw materials and all that. You could along the way find that you can't sustain the business, and either you drop out or you could just maybe stop the production as a whole. So we lack that sort of sponsorship, which cannot come in a day or two, and which I can't say that I would say probably I would tap into this or that for me to get that sponsorship to build the brand. So the brand itself has to be up there for it to fetch sponsorships or for it to be known, so that people can either invest in the brand or the business, but it can't get there because of the underlying costs. The other challenge I see, we lack I would say we need to have the campaign Made in Uganda going. We've seen other African countries, pushing forward for that, and at least they're getting a step ahead. The likes of neighboring country Rwanda, they are pushing for Made in Rwanda, or come and visit Rwanda, tour Rwanda. So Uganda is lacking that. So it's only maybe the tourism industry that's sort of tapping into that, but the other sectors are lagging behind. The fashion industry, which is really, really big and is key, is lagging behind because we've not pushed for Made in Uganda, and we're pushing for whatever is brought into the country. We're putting it at the forefront, so we lose out on that bit. And then we're not giving room for Ugandan brands to cook up more ideas or more brains or more designed, better styles. So we're just sitting on what we see, and then we try to replicate that or to duplicate that. So we lack that sort of environment because we've not pushed for our own Made in Uganda or produced in Uganda or manufactured in Uganda. So the other aspect I would say is the designers or the industry itself is underrated. It's underrated. How does that come into play? Because not until someone gets to the top is when someone will be called a designer. But before someone gets to that top, while most people will not understand the difference between a garment maker, a seamstress, a tailor, a fabrics, someone selling fabrics. So we all branded tailors or seamstresses. So not until someone gets to that top of, okay, we've seen designers come up, thanks to Miss Uganda, the Miss Uganda events that started with Sylvia Ori. We've seen Kampala Fashion Week by Santa Anzo. So at least they're trying to push forward for more talent, more designers to come to the forefront. But but I'm talking about people who have the creativity or who have the talent, but are, say, in downtown, like Chiembe Lane, you'll find a lot of talent down there, because I've worked with some people down there, and they say, yes, I went to, say, a technical school, I studied fashion, or I studied tailoring, but I'm not making ends meet. Someone would come to you and say, I want an alteration. Yet in actual sense, that person is there to design, to make a garment. So there's that sort of confusion. And when it comes to payments, they would want to pay you the same way they would have paid someone who's just making an alteration on an already existing garment, not looking at the time, the effort that you've taken to create, design, do the fabric sourcing to come up with that complete garment. So it takes me back to my point that the industry, I'll call them champions or the championeers of the industry within, or the gameplay industry, they are really underrated, and there was not enough returns gained out of the business, because at the end of the day, someone would get it from their craft and resort to either, okay, I'll go the tailoring, because at the end of the day, they either need to pay rent for where they're working from, their sport, or they need to keep, their art going, because yes, I need to sew, or I need to do something. So if someone comes up with any business, I'll just take it on. So they lose out on that game.
Yes.
And then the other aspect we see, we sort of lacking, now this cuts across the entire Africa. We're not celebrating a lot of African fashion. And so there's that sort of celebrating African fashion versus imitating brands that are already existing. So, and
yeah, you're saying it,
which is not in the Western world.
Yeah.
So I would say I would come up with a brand, and then I would say I would want my brand to look like an already established brand. And then before I know it, all my designs or whatever craft I'm coming up with is sort of similar to the already existing ones. So there's that, the creativity is lacking. So it takes me back to encouraging fellow Ugandans or encouraging fellow artisans, or I would say creatives, to invest in fashion studies, do research, do not just wake up and say I want to make a suit, but what entails in coming up with a suit? What research have you done? Designs and all that. So we need to invest more into fashion, the fashion school element, that extra education that comes with understanding the fashion industry. So that's the other area that lacks. And then we've seen other aspects come on board, like there was recently the AGOA, which is established by the American government to uplift young and growing African economies, but that has sort of slipped away. So it's not come up to really serve its purpose, because either we've treated us with the beneficiaries and we've not put it to use, or we've completely not understood what it entails. So it's there to support us, uplift the mushrooming small industries within the industry, within the textiles, the TCF, which is textiles, clothing and footwear industry, but we tend not to tap into that. Either the people who receive the funding don't allocate it properly to where it's supposed to be, or we just don't get it. So I think those are the challenges we're facing. And then the other challenges, I would say, still the education is lacking. We're looking at things like the economies of scale that come into play, like because if you want to come up with producing for international standards, you have to involve like electricity, using industrial machines, things like rent, which has skyrocketed in Kampala, the capital itself. So if you're looking at production, so that's an added cost. we're looking at things like marketing, we're looking at things like IT, because now the world is becoming a global. I mean, it's a global economy. E-commerce is it's the game now. Yeah. So with things like internet that come into use when we talk of e-commerce, social media is key for marketing. So those are some of the things that really are affecting the economy. I mean,
thank you, Victor.
The fashion industry.
Yes.
So.
That was really a quite good explanation of the challenges. I think we got a good insight. I mean, you also pointed out basically that there is not really an appreciation for made in Uganda. So I think it's also important to look into the consumer, because the consumer needs to be conscious. I think for the designers and creatives, it's clear what you're producing and in what way you want to create. But at the end of the day, if the consumer is not buying our product, we are not getting anywhere. So I think one aspect is really that the consumer gets actually more educated on made in Africa / made in Uganda products, and is aware of what more value actually the made in Uganda brand brings to the economy and to the consumer itself. And this is what we're facing along the country, I would say, that there's really a lack, and because of this misinterpretation that made in Africa does not have quality. So but I think once this is somehow raised, like with different initiatives, different ways, different formats of really getting the message out there and connecting and collaborating. That's why also my next question is for you, Shiri, because since you have been also paying attention, listening to creatives here in Uganda, how would you describe the relation between global north and the global south?
The relation between the global north and the global south, I have to say, I think there's the relation can definitely be built stronger, because there's little visibility of the fashion industry in the global south, in Germany, for example, where I think that platforms, for example, as your own Fashion Africa now, are very valuable of bringing visibility to fashion made in Africa, fashion made in Uganda, and I think this is really like a key for spreading what's actually going on and giving it visibility. We also have at the moment, there's the German government is implementing a supply chain transparency code of conduct for larger companies who are producing in the global south. So this has been a big step forward, although the critique is that it's very light, but there was a lot of petitions going into this happening. So this is really like